Yeah, ma'am. The link. Somebody had sent me. I can't send you that.
On the next lecture, I'll tell you the portion.
Yeah.
Why don't they tell us a portion?
Why don't you tell them? Hello.
Hello. Hi. I have the same shirt.
Really?
Yeah.
If I find, I'll keep. I might have.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
How many more lessons do you have? Please tell me.
Yeah, ma'am.
Yeah?
Like, ma'am, this the Indian rhino.
The Indian rhinoceros, final flight, sound of the shell, ordained in the ocean.
And all that is done?
Yes, all of this, like all of this still here. All of this still here.
And all that is done?
In school, yeah.
In school.
All that's coming on sir.
How fast does she go? Your teacher.
We haven't done the drama thing, the drama chapter that we did earlier.
Okay, the villa for sale.
Yeah, but we have done everything else. We're doing the workbook now.
Is it possible for you to come around 2:45? Not 2:45, 4:45?
Quarter to 4.
Yeah.
What does that mean? I forgot.
3:45?
Yeah.
Because we have lot to cover, no?
Actually, 3:40. Probably I won't have much of it. I won't have much of it.
Okay, I'll let you know. Okay, I'll let you know. Such long lessons. This one lesson is of 13 pages, and
And they're doing all of that in school.
I know.
My teacher would just have given up to the lesson. We have some sort of class test about some chapter. I don't know. There's some chapter in moments that our teacher said she'll hold a class test tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
Yeah, she had a lecture today for economics, so she was like, yeah, I'll have an English class test. She said it was for some internal marks.
Which lesson? She
I
said.
don't know. It was Happy Prince probably. Yeah, Happy Prince. And then she said next week she'll have some poem ka test. She wants to give us internals for the term before the exams are near, so that she does not have a lot of work to do back then.
Okay, let's do the Happy Prince then. It's a very, very easy lesson.
Yeah. I had it in my Valley Education last year.
Oh.
I don't remember it very well, but it's about some swallow and a statue of a prince, right? Who
Yes.
gives away every part of him to keep his kingdom happy.
Yes. Just keep the bird safe.
Oh.
Come on, let's read.
Chapter 5 The Happy Prince. The Happy Prince was a beautiful statue. He was covered with gold. He had sapphire for eyes and a ruby in his sword. Why did he want to part with all the gold that he had and his precious stones? High above the city, on a tall column, stood the statue of the Happy Prince. He was gilded all over with thin leaves of fine gold for eyes. He had 2 bright sapphires, and a large red ruby glowed on his sword hilt. One night there flew over the city a little swallow. His friends had gone away to Egypt 6 weeks before, but he had stayed behind. Then he decided to go to Egypt too. All day long he flew, and at night time he arrived in the city. Where shall I put up? He said. I hope the town has made preparations. Then he saw a statue on the tall column. I will put up there, he cried. It is a fine position with plenty of fresh air. So he alighted just between the feet of the happy prince. I have a gold bedroom, he said softly to himself as he looked around, and he prepared to go to sleep. But just as he was putting his head under his wing, a large droplet of water fell on him. What a curious thing, he cried. There is not a single cloud in the sky. The stars are quite clear and bright, and yet it is raining. Then another drop fell. What is the use of a statue if it cannot keep the rain off? He said. I must look for a good chimney pot, and he determined to fly away. But before he had opened his wing, a third drop fell, and he looked up and saw. Ah, what did he see? The eyes of the happy prince were filled with tears, and tears were running down his golden cheeks. His face was so beautiful in the moonlight that the little swallow was filled with pity. Who are you? He said. I am the happy prince. Why are you weeping then? Asked the swallow. You have quite drenched me. When I was alive and had a human heart, answered the statue, I did not know what tears were, for I lived in the palace where sorrow is not allowed to enter. My courtiers called me the happy prince, and happy indeed I was. So I lived and so I died. And now that I am dead, they have set me up here so high that I can see the ugliness and all the misery of my city. And though my heart is made of lead, yet I cannot choose but weep. What is he not solid gold? Said the swallow to himself. He was too polite to make any personal remarks. Far away, continued the statue in a low musical voice. Far away in a main street, there is a poor house. One of the windows is open, and through it I can see a woman seated at a table. Her face is thin and worn, and she has coarse red hands, all pricked by the needle, for she is a seamstress. She is embroidering flowers on a satin gown for the loveliest of queens' maids of honor to wear at the next court ball. In a bed in the corner of the room, her little boy is lying ill. He has a fever and is asking his mother to give him oranges. His mother has nothing to give but river water. So he is crying, Swallow, swallow, little swallow. Will you bring her the ruby of
Will you not bring her the ruby?
Will you not bring her the ruby out of my sword hilt? My feet are fastened to this pedestal, and I cannot
Cannot
move.
move. You understood the story, so
Yeah,
yeah.
basically a swallow talking to a statue, probably hallucinating. Trust me, a prince cannot speak if he's a statue.
But thank your stars that you have this book. But that story, it's nice to read. 13 pages lesson is nice to read when you're reading it alone.
Yeah, when there are three kids to explain it.
Yeah, and when you're reading it in the class loud, it's a headache. It's that old English.
Oh no.
Means, PG Woodhouse.
Okay, that gets annoying though, even when you're reading it to yourself. Old English, quite frankly, gets very frustrating after you've read it for like enough amount of pages. There's certain novels I just cannot seem to complete them because they are like, old, very old, broken English novels about like family and stuff, and you can just never complete it. That is the language. I have waited for in Egypt, said the swallow. My friends are flying up.
Okay, 1 minute. So there is this swallow. Where had his friends gone? Egypt. He also was on his way. He was alone. He takes a shelter. Where does he take a shelter?
In the city under the statue of the happy prince.
Yes. Then he gets disturbed. How does he get disturbed?
By the tear droplets of the happy prince.
Yes. Now, why is he crying?
Because when he was alive, he could not see the misery, but now when he's so high up, he can see everybody's sorrows.
The ugliness and the misery and the sorrows of everyone. So now in this passage, he has seen this woman. What is she doing?
She's a seamstress.
Yes.
She's making the bridesmaids
She's
royal
embroidering
ball gown.
flowers. She's embroidering flowers on a satin gown. And who's sleeping in the corner?
Her sixth son.
Yes, her sixth son. What is he crying for?
He wants oranges, but his mom does not have anything but river water.
Okay, and therefore he's crying.
Yeah.
And therefore, what does he ask Swallow to do?
To give the ruby on the sword hilt.
Yes, to her.
Yeah.
Read.
I have waited for in Egypt, said the swallow. My friends are flying up and down the Nile and talking to the large lotus flowers. Soon they will go to sleep. The prince asked the swallow to stay with him for one night and be his messenger. The boy is so thirsty and the mother so sad, he said. I don't think I like boys, answered the swallow. I want to go to Egypt. But the happy prince looked so sad that the little swallow was sorry. It was very cold here.
It is very
It
cold.
is very cold here, he said. But he agreed to stay with him for one night and be his messenger. Thank you, little swallow, said the prince. The swallow picked out the great ruby from the prince's sword and flew away with it in his beak over the roofs of the town. He passed by the cathedral tower where the white marble angels were sculpted. He passed by the palace and heard the sound of dancing. A beautiful girl came out on the balcony with her lover. I hope my dress will be ready in time for the state ball. She said, I have ordered flowers to be embroidered on it, but the seamstresses are so lazy. He passed over the river and saw the lanterns hanging on the masts of the ships. At last he came to the poor woman's house and looked in. The boy was tossing feverishly on his bed, and mother had fallen asleep. She was so tired. In he hopped and laid the great ruby on the table beside the woman's thimble. Then he flew gently around the bed, fanning the boy's forehead with his wings. How cool I feel, said the boy. I must be getting better, and he sank into a delicious slumber. Then the swallow flew back to the happy prince and told him what he had done. It is curious, he remarked, but I feel quite warm now, although it is so cold. Is it because you have done a good action? Said the prince. The little swallow began to think and then fell asleep. Thinking always made him sleepy. When day broke, he flew down to the river and had a bath. Tonight I go to Egypt, said the swallow, and he was in high spirits at the prospect. He visited all the monuments and sat a long time on top of the church steeple. When the moon rose, he flew back to the happy prince. Have you any commissions for Egypt? He cried. I am just starting. Swallow, swallow, little swallow, said the prince. Will you stay with me one night longer? I am waited for in Egypt, answered the swallow. Swallow, swallow, little swallow, said the prince. Far away across the city, I see a young man in a garret. He is leaning over a bunch of withered violets. His hair is brown and crisp, and his lips are red as pomegranate, and he has large and dreamy eyes. He is trying to finish a play for the director of the theatre, but is too cold to write any more. There is no fire in the grate, and hunger has made him faint. I will wait with you one night longer, said the swallow, who really had a good heart. He asked if he should take another ruby to the young playwright. Alas, I have no ruby now, said the prince. My eyes are all that I have left. They are made of red sapphires, which were brought out of India 1,000 years ago. He ordered the swallow to pluck out one of them and take it to the playwright. He will sell it to the jeweler and buy firewood and finish his play, he said. Dear prince, said the swallow, I cannot do that, and he began to weep. Swallow, swallow, little swallow, said the prince. Do as I command you. So the swallow plucked out the prince's eye and flew away to the young man's garret. It was easy enough to get in as there was a hole on the roof. Through this he darted and came into the room. The young man had his head buried in his hands. So he did not hear the flutter of the bird's wings, and when he looked up, he found the beautiful sapphire lying on the withered violets. I am beginning to be appreciated, he cried. This is from some great admirer. Now I can finish my play. He looked quite happy. The next day, the swallow flew down to the harbor. He sat on the mast of a large vessel and watched the sailors working. I am going to Egypt, cried the swallow, but nobody minded. When the moon rose, he flew back to the happy prince. I have come to bid you goodbye, he cried. Swallow, swallow, little swallow, said the
Okay.
prince.
Second story, you understood.
Yeah,
Second story, what happens in the second story?
he sees a playwright who is extremely worn out and has fainted because
There is no wood in
in
the
the fire.
yeah, and there is no food.
Yeah, so
So he's
the
hungry and cold.
and then he asks the swallow to pluck out one of his eyes and give it to the playwright to
Now, what does he have in his eyes?
sapphires.
Okay, the
Sapphires
sapphires.
from India
Yeah.
that came 1,000 years ago.
Okay, and the playwright thinks that the sapphire is from.
Some great admirer of his.
Yeah.
At least he feels good about himself now.
Yes. Okay. Again, swallow, swallow, little swallow, said the prince. Do as I command you.
No.
No. Sorry.
Swallow, swallow, little swallow, said the prince. Will you not stay with me one night longer? It is winter, answered the swallow, and the snow will soon be here. In Egypt, the sun is warm on the green palm trees, and the crocodiles lie in the mud and look lazily about them. In the square below, said the happy prince, there stands a little match girl. She has let her matches fall in the gutter, and they are all spoiled. Her father will beat her if she does not bring home money, and she is crying. She has no shoes or stockings, and her little head is bare. Pluck out my other eye and give it to her, and her father will not beat her. I will stay with you one night longer, said the swallow, but I cannot pick out your eye. You would be quite blind then. Swallow, swallow, little swallow, said the prince. Do as I command you. So he plucked out the prince's other eye and darted down with it. He swooped past the match girl and slipped the jewel into the palm of her hand. What a lovely bit of glass, cried the little girl, and she ran home laughing. Then the swallow came back to the prince. You are blind now, he said. So I will stay with you always. No, little swallow, said the poor prince. You must go away to Egypt. No, I will stay with you always, said the swallow, and slept at the prince's feet. All the next day he sat on the prince's shoulder and told him stories of what he had seen in strange lands. Dear swallow, said the prince, you tell me of marvelous things, but more marvelous than anything is the suffering of men and women. There is no mystery so great as misery. Fly over my city, little swallow, and tell me what you see there. So the swallow flew over the great city and saw the rich making the gates. He flew into dark lanes and saw white faces of starving children looking out listlessly at the black streets. Under the archway of a bridge, two little boys were lying in each other's arms to try to keep themselves warm. How hungry we are, they said. You must not lie here, shouted the watchman, and they wandered into the rain. Then he flew back to the prince and told the prince what he had seen. I am covered with fine gold, said the prince. You must take it off leaf by leaf and give it to the poor. The living always think that gold can make them happy. Leaf after leaf of the fine gold the swallow picked off, till the happy prince looked quite dull and grey. Leaf after leaf of the fine gold he brought to the poor, and the children's faces grew rosier, and they laughed and played in the street. We have bread now, they cried. The snow came, and after the snow came the frost. The street looked as if it was made of silver. Everybody went about in furs, and the little boys wore scarlet caps and skated on the ice. The poor little swallow grew colder and colder, but he would not leave the prince. He loved him too well. He picked up crumbs outside the baker's door when the bakers were not looking, and tried to keep himself warm by flapping his wings. But at last he knew that he was going to die. He had just enough strength to fly up to the prince's shoulder once more. Goodbye, dear prince, he murmured. Will you let me kiss your hand? I am glad that you are going to Egypt at last, little swallow, said the prince. You have stayed too long here, but you must kiss me on the lips, for I love you. It is not to Egypt that I am going, said the swallow. I am going to the house of death. Death is the brother of sleep, is he not? And he kissed the happy prince on the lips and fell down dead at his feet. At that moment, a curious crack sounded inside the statue as if something had broken. The fact is that
That the laden heart.
had snapped right in two. It certainly was a dreadful hard frost. Early the next morning, the mayor was walking in the square below the company with the town councillors. As they passed by the column, he looked up at the statue. Dear me, how shabby the happy prince looks, he said. How shabby indeed, said the town councillors, who had agreed with the mayor. They went up to look at it. The ruby has fallen out of his sword, his eyes are gone, and he is golden no longer, said the mayor. In fact, he is little better than a beggar. Little better than a beggar, said the town councillors. And here is actually a dead bird at his feet, continued the mayor. We must really issue a proclamation that birds are not to be allowed to die here. What? When did we go from happy prince to the kingdom of fools? And the town clerk made a note of the suggestion. So they pulled down the statue of the happy prince. As he is no longer beautiful, he is no longer useful, said the art professor at the university. Then they melt
The statue in a furnace. What a strange thing, said the overseer of the workmen at the foundry. This broken lead heart will not melt in the furnace. We must throw it away. So they threw it on a dust heap where the dead swallow was also lying. Bring me the two most precious things in the city, said God to one of his angels. And the angels brought him the laden heart and the dead bird. You have rightly chosen, said God. For in my garden of paradise, this little bird shall sing forevermore, and in my city of gold, the happy prince shall praise me. Oscar Wilde.
I am just confused because at the end a lot of things happened.
Yes, a lot of things happen. Okay. In short, the swallow wanted to go to Egypt because all his friends had moved. He was left behind. He comes to the city, takes shelter under the gold statue. Then he sees that the gold statue was crying. So he asks why it was crying. He sees that now that he's standing at the height, he can see the people in the city and the misery and the sadness. And he decides to help them. So first he sees this young woman who's embroidering flowers on the gown, and the gown would be worn by this princess bridesmaid, and but the woman who's doing this embroidery of flowers, she has a son. The son is sick. There is nothing in the house. He's crying for oranges, but she cannot give him anything other than the water. So the statue decides to help her rather. So he asks the swallow to pull out the ruby from his sword and then go and give it to him. Next, he says, okay, fine, I help you, let me go. Then he says, wait for one more day. Because he had seen this young playwright who was hungry. There was nothing with him. There was no wood. He was hungry and cold, could not write the book. And he had to finish the story and give it. So he says, pick out one of the sapphires from my eye and go and give it to him. There was a hole in his house. He could go through it quickly and give the sapphire. He's very happy. He goes the third time. What does he see? A little
Girls
match,
matches.
match girls. Yes, little girl selling matchsticks. By accidentally she drops all the matchsticks in the
Good.
gutter, and now there is nothing. Since she has not made any money, she's sure her father will beat her, and therefore she's crying. The poor prince takes pity on her, and he tells Swallow to pull out another sapphire and give it to her. Now he is completely blind, and the swallow, he has such a good heart, he decides to not leave him because he's seen how he has given his ruby and gold, ruby and sapphire to poor people to help. So the swallow says, I'll stay with you. And he starts telling him all interesting stories of the places that he has seen. The princess, don't tell me all these stories. The most interesting stories are the stories of suffering of men and women. So tell me how my people are suffering. And then he sees that he goes to the, he flies to the city and he sees in the dark lanes the white faces of these young children who are, starving and looking out listlessly at the back streets. Um, and then there was a bridge where there were these boys, they tried to hug each other, hold each other close so that they feel warm because the winter has come. And they said how hungry we are. And then there comes the watchman and he drives them out and says, you can't sit here, you can't sit here, this is, you're dirtying the place and all. So he goes and tells the story that how people are hungry and cold and there are small children, there is no food for them. And the prince says that, no, what I've made of gold, pull out each leaf and distribute it among the poor people. That is what he does. And then one day he realizes that he cannot bear this cold and he's going to die. And then the prince says that kiss me on my lips because I love you and you've been very, very good. So he does that and he dies at his feet. And the next morning, the mayor is taking a walk. So he just comes there and sees the statue, and the statue is no longer of gold and it looks very grey and ordinary. And they decide to pull it down. They pull it down, throw it in the foundry to melt the statue. And then they realize that while melting, they realize that the heart, that which was made of lead, is not melting. They say, "अरे ये तो melt ही नहीं हो रहा." They pick it up and they throw it in the garbage in short. Now यहाँ पे scene two. Scene two is God. God has asked angel to get two precious things from the city. What do the angels pick up?
The broken heart and the dead swallow.
Yes. Now, why was the heart broken?
Because the swallow died and the prince was really disheartened.
Yes.
Sad though. It got very sad at the end. Why did they have to kill poor swallow like that? Don't do that to me, come on.
Because Swallow lived there, though he knew that he cannot survive in the winters. He should migrate to the warmer country. But then he was so much, what to say, was so much impressed and so much moved by the sacrifice of this prince that he decided to give him company, to stay there and give him company.
Our value textbook only had the part till where he gave away his gold leaves. The other was not in the story.
So,
Sorry, it was really sad.
so we'll do the multiple choice questions first.
This would be in volume 2.
Yeah. By rule, na, everybody should have this book.
Yeah, the other book is kind of a pain, bro.
Yeah, it is. And all five of you would have been so much fun. 3 children and 1 you.
One me, yes.
Or you should tell some of your rank people to join you here.
Everybody that I know is in other branches. A few in Vashi, some people in Nehru, and a few, like 2 or 3 in Kovarkin. And
Got your English paper?
no, we're getting it this Saturday. I'm really scared.
Why?
No, like overall the open house because the papers got corrected from outside, not from the teachers. So they have said, okay, one of the teachers who got the marks who I'm really close with, she told me that students have been getting 16 on 50, like, because they did really strict checking. So, like, even the smallest mistake they got like 2 marks for.
Why do they do that? Because that's not how board correction goes.
They're just really upset at kids. And my throat kind of hurts.
Because you read for so
No,
long.
because I yelled. My job is okay. I became the student council member, so I got to lead the council squad, like marching squad,
Okay.
and I got to become the commander of the squad.
Oh, so you were
And
giving
all
that
the
order.
yelling, it's been hurting my throat since 2 days. Yesterday was so hot that my voice sounded.
Okay, I wanted to ask, how did you join this MUN?
I mean, it was
How much do you pay for it?
usually onions that you do locally, they cost like 1,000 to 2,000 rupees per entry cost. It includes like breakfast, lunch, and evening snacks, as well as whatever material which is provided.
So per session it is 1,000 to 2,000.
Every session is for 2 days. So for 2 days you pay that, and then you can
Then
join.
how do you come to know that which country you have got and what the
You
topic
need
is?
to go on their website. You need to log in for. You need to register yourself. And these things you will find out through WhatsApp groups of previous MUNs or through social media pages or through school pamphlets.
Okay. There is this girl in my school, she's pretty keen on joining the MUN, but I think she doesn't know where it is and how to get in touch with it. So, how will she get in touch with
She can just, okay. There are a few MUNs being, conducted in the coming few like weeks and months. She can register for them. If there's somewhere I can contact her, I can just send her links to upcoming MUNs.
Okay. I'll try talking to you, her, and how will I get your number?
Rekha ma'am, हाँ जी.
Okay. I'll take it from Rekha. Can I have your number?
Yeah, sure.
Ritika.
Ritika.
And you don't mind if I share it? Share.
I don't know.
Okay. I'll first talk to her.
Yeah.
And tell me the number.
79
Seven. Oh, sorry. 79
77
7
511
511
350.
350. 7977 511 350.
Yeah.
Okay. I also think only if
My name is spelled out VRITIKA.
okay.
Today was the English retest for the exams for the people who went to play sports on the English exam. And the paper was quite similar, like questions were in the same order, but this paper was so much more difficult. Like for some reason, they just decided to hurt the poor kids in the exams later. I was rechecking the paper, like going through it with one of my friends who gave it, and he messed up every single long answer. He could not interpret the wordings was so complicated for no reason. And it was sheets after sheets of just simply question answers. We had gotten a lot of passages instead of a lot of question answers.
Yeah.
And they did the exact opposite to those poor
So
sports
bad.
kids. This paper was printed by the teachers in our school itself. These paper did not come from outside. So yeah, they had bad luck. So glad I gave the exams on time.
I know.
Usually it's the other way around.
Yes.
The main exam gets more difficult than the retest.
And so take the movie to seamstresses. What did the happy prince send to the young playwright, the sapphire? What was the trouble to the playwright? He was poor and hungry. Who did the happy prince send the second sapphire for? The poor match. What did the happy prince ask the swallow to do? With the gold on his body, take it off leaf by leaf and give it to the poor. What did the happy prince say to was more marvelous than anything? The suffering of men. Why did the swallow decide to stay with the happy prince always? Because the happy prince had now become blind. What did the happy prince think was the greatest mystery? Misery. Was the heart made of? Lead. Okay. Let's do the question answers.
The boring part of every lesson is the question answers.
They
Yes.
have done this in the school. They finished
Yeah.
teaching this in the school.
You were asked to just do the question answers somehow. Probably have to submit it by next week.
Why do the courtiers call the prince the happy prince? Is he really happy?
The courtiers called the happy prince because he was always smiling and filled with joy in the days that he was alive. The happy prince was really happy back in the day because he was unaware of the misery of his people. And now that he's
Was guarded from the misery of his people, yes.
but now that he's put up as a statue high above the city, he can see everyone's misery all around him and he can see the sorrows and suffering of his people around him.
Okay. Is he really happy? No. He's no longer happy.
I think I answered that and then I said, what does he see around him? He sees the misery and sorrows.
Yeah.
Why does the happy prince send a ruby for the seamstress?
He can see the ugliness and misery. So write that word ugliness also. Don't miss the keywords. Okay, some teachers really insist on keywords. I don't know why, as long as the message is given. But remember. Okay. Why does the happy prince send a ruby for the seamstress? What does the swallow do in the seamstress's house?
The happy prince sent a ruby for the seamstress as you could see how much distress she was in. As her son was sick and she was trying to embroider.
Okay, so don't start like that. That why does the happy decided to send a ruby? Start with the story. The seamstress was embroidering um,
Flowers
flowers
on the satin dress.
to be worn by the
Bridesmaid
of the princess,
something bridesmaid. That's the word I mean.
queen's maid of honor. For the queen's maids of honor.
Not
Not
bridesmaid.
bride, right. Queen's maids of honor. Okay, for queen's maid of honor. And her son was
Sick, and he was tossing and turning in his bed
uh,
due to the high fever. Then
he wanted
he wanted oranges, but all his mother could give him was river water.
yeah.
The swallow went into the seamstress's house and dropped the ruby on the table on the table which she was
So, but why does he send the ruby?
because
And therefore, the happy prince decided to help the seamstress by giving her his ruby.
then he fanned the little boy until he fell asleep. Whom did the prince send the sapphires and why? The prince sent the first sapphire of his eye to the playwright
Cold and
who
hungry.
was cold and hungry and had run out of firewood and fainted on the table he was writing the play on. He gave the other sapphire to the little match girl who was selling matchsticks but accidentally dropped them all in the gutter, which would make her father really upset. Out of the kindness of his heart, the happy prince gave the sapphire to make her happy.
Yeah. And what? Okay. Why? That is done. Okay.
Yeah.
What does the swallow see when it flies over the city?
The swallow sees dark alleys with little children who are really hungry. The swallow sees two little boys under the bridge trying to keep each other warm by holding close and tight, and the watchman trying to send the kids away. The swallow, what else did the kids,
So that's it. Okay, the beggars.
yeah,
Now he saw that the rich making merry in their beautiful houses, while the beggars were sitting at the gates. That is first. The rich were enjoying in their beautiful houses, while the beggars were sitting on the gates.
and then he saw the little kids in dark alleys who were hungry, and then the swallow saw the kids under the bridge who were
Lying in each other's arms to keep themselves warm,
but
and they were driven out by the
watchman.
watchmen. And they wandered out into the rain, and the poor children wandered out into the rain. Why did the swallow not leave the prince and go to Egypt?
The swallow did not leave the prince and go to Egypt, as the prince had given out both of his sapphire eyes to people in need and could not see anymore. So the swallow decided to stay with the prince and give him company, as he felt, what is the word, bad for the prince, as he felt
felt
pity.
Pity for the prince. More than that, he was
He liked the kindness that the prince was spreading.
yes, he was you can say impressed or moved by the generosity and kindness of the prince, and he therefore decided to stay with him, give him company, and tell him what was happening around in the city.
What is the difference between philanthropy and generosity?
Philanthropy is with the generosity more or less same, but philanthropy is the act of doing charity.
Then what is generosity? Generosity is also
Generosity can be generosity is more or less same. He's a very generous man, so it can be.
he's very giving.
Yeah, he's very giving.
But he's a philanthropist also means that he's very giving.
Yeah.
Our English teacher said they are very different words. Do not use them synonymously.
Is it?
She confused everyone. Unfortunately, she cannot frame sentences correctly in English.
Philanthropy, you're sleeping today.
I'm not sleeping, I'm just exhausted, like really exhausted. Sleeping would be the last thing I'd be in an English class. I love English.
Sorry. Difference between philanthropy and generosity.
My CV can never interpret words correctly. It's broken.
Philanthropy and generosity. Okay, what is the difference between generosity? Generosity is a way to spread kindness and improve the lives of those around us. On the other hand, philanthropy is more structured form of giving that often involves larger sums of money and is often focused on addressing societal problems.
It just sounds like the same
Same, it is same. But generosity is, I can be a generous person, but I'm not a philanthropist. Like I can help the small people. But philanthropist is the one who does charity, which involves social,
On a larger
larger
scale.
scale. Like Sudhamurthy will be a philanthropist,
Probably.
and I can be generous in my own way.
Opera Winfrey would also be
A philanthropist. Philanthropist.
Then I identify as a philanthropist. I will start doing charity from today. That sounds like such a fancy name to put in front of your name.
Yeah. Earn a lot of money and then become a philanthropist.
I'll give everyone all the money.
Yeah, some of it.
I have to save, I forgot. What are the precious things mentioned in the story? Why are they precious? I didn't want.
What are the precious things mentioned in the story? Why are they precious?
What is precious? There was nothing that was.
Precious?
Is it the heart of lead that is precious?
Probably, yes.
But they said things.
The swallow and the this na see in the end he says no. These are the
Okay, bring me the two most precious things.
Yeah.
The
Two most precious things in the
city are the heart, the broken heart of lead of the prince, and the swallow which is dead. They are precious because of the kindness they spread, and they were precious because of the kindness they spread and the giving nature of that.
So now यहाँ पे you have to exaggerate. मतलब थोड़ा बढ़ा चढ़ा के लिखना पड़ा, खींचना है. So the prince had a lead heart of lead, but a very generous heart. He sacrificed his own life. He sacrificed his own beauty, his eyes, he was made of gold. So he sacrificed everything
to help his people
in the and lift them up from the life of misery. Okay, and the swallow became the agent of kindness for the happy prince. He knew he cannot survive in the cold winter of the city and must fly to the warmer place like Egypt. But when but he still stayed back with the happy prince to help
the happy prince continue to spread
kindness and help the
people of
the miserable and poor people of the city. That gave him, he chose the warmth that he received from the kind action rather than
going to Egypt
to the warm place in search for the warm place. So, बड़ा चढ़ा के अभी हमने बोल तो दिया है. How much will you write?
I can write like I can exaggerate and write.
Will you remember?
Yeah.
The chose the warmth of the heart rather than the warmth of a place. Hmm?
That
To
sounds like a
survive.
good code.
Yeah.
Code of the day by Neelam.
Warmth of kindness. Warmth of kindness than the warmth of a
Place.
place. Write this answer. Remaining all answers you will write, but here this answer you will have to frame on your own. The precious things mentioned in the story. That's a nice dress you're wearing.
Thank you. This is my dad's choice. He likes wearing dresses. Today, our chemistry teacher was taking the internals and she took it so seriously that she conducted a whole viva for 2 lectures. Like she was sitting outside on a table and students were coming one by one, roll number wise, and it was like serious, serious. So it's just internal 10 marks. What are we supposed to do for that? And the report our teacher wouldn't even take it seriously. She would just give everyone a 10 for internals anyway. Because she's so serious about it.
And why during interval? When do they eat tiffin? When do they relax and eat? I think in your school teachers really work hard.
No, like the principal gets mad at teachers for eating.
Eating?
Yeah, one of the teachers was like really upset. Sometimes she told us that like during the breaks, the teachers are assigned floors to go to ensure like the students are not creating chaos. So when one of the teachers was eating in the break in the staff room, principal ma'am got so upset at that. How dare you eat in the break? Isn't that what the break is meant for?
Yeah, and like we usually tell children come after the break. This is for
Yeah.
teachers, and you eat your tiffin.
Principal ma'am is not like that. She said, "Who told you you can eat in the break?" She did this to many, many teachers. Everyone quits eventually, so it doesn't matter.
This book, with Beehive and all the schools who follow this book, they are more or less on the same pace and same syllabus. ये exam तक इतना इतना करना है. This is like maddening. One school does 6 lessons from one book and has not touched this lesson and book at all. One school does six from there, six from here. There is no uniformity in schools.
Love how they just wake up one day and decide to change the books.
There has been a lot in the newspaper about the DPS principal.
Yeah, what happened? It was harassment of teachers, right?
Yeah, he passes some comments which are unprofessional, inappropriate,
But
very
It was a new principal.
sexist comments,
The
yeah.
principal that is doing this is the new principal,
Yeah.
which just changed a few months ago. Wow. At least Ryan has female principals only. But our principal nonetheless does a lot of verbal harassment towards teachers. Like she cursed them out in the most absurd ways in front of students. That's the problem.
Like how?
I don't listen to that because I don't like to. I just leave the floor when she starts yelling. But like some students, senior graders whose teachers were being yelled at, they said she uses really foul languages. She'll call them idiotic and like what is that? Like she says things about how their parents did not raise them right.
To teachers?
Yeah.
Or the children?
In front of the children to their teachers. She smacked a kid with a calendar just because she was pissed. The kid did not do anything. She has a hair like me and she straightens it every morning so her hair is so stiff that when she hits the kid her hair went down. It's really funny looking at her sometimes. In the morning, especially when she gets upset, she used to rocking her head while speaking. So it was so it's a bunch of pencil hairs moving back and there is no way we can change our principle because it works on like some church trust and things. So we cannot change it. So we have just learned to enjoy her. When she gets upset, she'll start talking in her native language to the staff, and then she'll suddenly switch to English, and then to
What are
Marathi.
native language?
She speaks Kerala's language. What is it? I don't know.
Malayalam.
Yeah, Malayalam. And then she'll switch back and forth between four languages. So she'll start with Malayalam when she's extremely angry at some stuff. Then she'll move to English when she gets her senses, and then she'll lose it all again and start speaking in Marathi. And then she'll move to Hindi eventually and end the argument in Hindi. This pattern we have noticed ever since the council was assigned. So like when the elections were happening, she would get pissed off at the charge teacher and start yelling.
God.
She's kind of crazy, but we love her.
Uh, See, what are the precious things mentioned in the story? So, uh, try to write the answers in the past tense. Okay, good. Now, depending on the number of depending on the marks,
I'll change.
you will expand it. Okay, you will expand by saying he gave up his eyes.
I'll write in detail of whatever happened.
Yeah, the leaves of gold and all that, all the details, and swallow that how he became his agent to spread happiness. He took his efforts to fly and give that each sapphire and ruby to the designated person or whatever. Okay, so please expand it depending on the
I have
marks.
learned however long the answer gets, if it is more than 5 marks, you just need to write the entire story and then I will again mention what was asked in the question.
But did you have? There is no 5 mark question, no.
Oh yeah.
It's maximum is for what, 3?
Yeah.
4, 3, no?
But like essays and everything, we get them for 5 marks and 10 marks. I don't know if it was Hindi or English, but 10th graders this year got a 10-mark question in either language. Hopefully it was not English because everybody was just exhausted by the end of the paper.
I know.
But someone who did it smartly was like, I started with the 10-mark question and then went backwards with the paper. Bye, mom.
Bye.